Hey people, we're back into the spiritual war situation. We talk about what it means to be in a battle with Satan, with the demonic forces and the forces of evil that live around us. Now, we've spoken a few foundational truths, and I have just a couple more that may need to be said. One of the principles of war, we spoke about the first principle of war is dominate high ground. And we spoke about that in the context of prayer, Moses going the high ground, winning the battle against the Amalekites. But there's another principle of war that you see all over the place. It's amazing how the wars that are fought out there are not always won by the biggest armies, but are won by those who are the most aggressive. The formula says this: he who is the most aggressive wins the day. You see, the Christian life is not a passive life. There is a war that we have to fight. We fight against ourselves, our own human nature. That's a good fight to fight. But the war in the spirit realm is exactly the same as the war in the physical one. If you have given up the will to fight, then you're going to get beaten every time. Satan will just hammer you into the ground, and he's going to come back with the same old every single time, and you're going to lose just as it was the time before. There's another military principle that goes hand in hand with this one, and it says this: a man with a weapon but no will to fight is of less use than a man with a will to war but no weapon. Think about that for a moment. The winning mentality is I have to have a will to war. Now you've got to get sick and tired of being beaten up by Satan and the temptations we fall for continually. We've got to get angry with ourselves. We've got to get aggressive with the things that hold us back, with the temptations that overwhelm us. And we know that we have to take responsibility for many of those things. But I look at the great stories, and probably one of the finest battles ever fought in the Bible is the battle between David and Goliath. There was the man who was 9 feet tall with a huge armor, and he was bullying young David. But the Israelites were cowering in the hills. They were cowering behind the rocks, and they had no will to war. Oh, they had the weapons of warfare. They had the spears, they had the swords, on top of that, they had the stories of victories that they had won. But in the intimidating light of this enormous giant, they all backed off and they lost their will to war. They had the weapons, but no will. Until a young, probably 16-year-old little whippersnapper came along, and he had the opposite. He had a catapult, which was really not much to fight with in those days. It was a bit of a weapon, but it wasn't much. But his will to war won the battle of the day. He was not going to take this giant's nonsense. He was not going to be bullied by this giant. And he revved the children of Israel to say, where are the champions amongst us? We can take this guy. And they said, hey, not us. Not us. Have you seen the size of him, David? He's enormous. We're not going to fight with him. Let's rather just hide. Now we see this in some of the Old Testament examples as well. Have a look at the children of Israel. After 40 years in the wilderness, they had lost their will to war. And when they were told to go into the promised land and there were enemies in the land there, they backed off pretty quickly because they just didn't want to fight. Now, nobody really loves to fight. Well, you may find a few mercenary type people who'll have a good punch up, but there are mostly people in the world who are told to be peaceful, peace-loving. Blessed are the peaceful, except against our enemy, Satan. Let's get aggressive with him. Let's not take his nonsense anymore. This is why I love our Exodus program here at the church. It's a program for those who battle with issues of addiction. The people that come to this are saying, I'm sick and tired of sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being defeated by Satan, and I'm going to rally myself and the troops around me, my friends and my compatriots, and I'm going to do war against the thing that has beaten me down for so long. And when you come with that kind of an attitude, when you come with a will to war and a will to victory, there's nothing that can stand in your way. You at this particular point are your own worst enemy. So have a look today, people, at some of the things that affect you, some of the things that have held you back and kept you down and defeated you over and over again. Get out of the corner, get out from behind the rocks, and get courageous. Take your courage pills and let's face some of these enemies. He who is the most aggressive wins the day, and he who has a weapon but no will to war is of no use to anybody. But he who has a will to war, and even if he has no weapon, he's the man. I'm going to ask you, which one are you? Have a great day. We'll talk some more about this tomorrow. Bye.